Good morning. Good morning. It is 2:55 a.m. I'm on my way to the gym right now. Let's talk about difficult people. Now, when you're in the customer service business and when you're in real estate, you're going to deal with a number of individuals. And sometimes those individuals aren't going to be the easiest to work with. And I remember at 2 points in my life, especially in my business being real estate, that either I took whatever was going on in the transaction personally because the client seemed like they were not happy with the way it was going, or two, I blamed the client for being a difficult individual and resented them for it. Now, I never once considered that there was a lesson that I needed to learn from this situation. Because people that you can't please, it doesn't matter what you do, they'll never be satisfied. And even after you're long gone, even after whatever business you have with them, and you're long gone, they will still not be happy or satisfied with the outcome or what they're going to do next, right? Because some people you just can't make happy. So now I've dealt with these situations. And like I said, there would be two different ways I would approach it. One, I would feel like I personally did something to make them feel this way. Or two, they just had a major issue. Never once considering that they're personally under attack. We were walking up the mountain yesterday, me and my wife. We were taking our hike, going up the mountain, coming back down. I said, you know what's weird? You know what's strange? I said, when you find yourself questioning what you should do, and if you do it long enough, you start to get confused and think, who's talking to me? Who's directing my steps? Because at first I thought it was God. But then I didn't listen, so now I'm hearing something different. So now I'm thinking it's the devil, but then I'm not obedient to that either. So now I'm talking, and I'm not listening to that either. So I have three different things going on inside of my head, and none of which am I listening to because I'm confused about all of them. And one thing the devil likes is when you're confused, because if you're confused, you won't make a decision. And if you won't make a decision, you won't make progress. And if you don't make progress, then you can't ever get to the destination that you were intended to be at. So I started thinking, people who are difficult are typically under some type of demonic attack. I don't know anybody on the face of this earth who does not fall underneath that. But certain people to a certain level are under it even more. And I was having a talk with this brother, and I said, man, the first thing I want to do is try to rationalize something spiritual. The first thing I want to do is go flesh to flesh with it and try to fight it out and fix it. So you're taking the destructible flesh and you're saying, well, I want to fight a spirit. And I'm not saying people who are difficult or demonic. I'm saying that they're under a spirit or they're very confused. So my wife asked me a question. She said, well, what if they really believe what they're doing is the right thing? I said, well, that's fine. I said, but you have to stand your ground. You have to believe what you believe. And then at the end of the day, there's always going to be a third party. And that third party is going to ultimately either convict or uphold what the one who is thinking on the best and righteous level is doing, if that makes sense. Basically, don't argue with fools, because there's always somebody who can tell who's who. So you don't have to ever argue your case with somebody who you know is just being difficult. Because before I'd try to argue my case with a difficult individual, but now I just sit back and say, maybe you got a couple different voices talking to you. I'm not sure. But this is not how this goes. But just imagine. You're trying to take on this situation with rationing. Flesh to flesh. You're trying to resolve this situation. And nothing's happening. So then it got me to thinking. It says pray. It says pray. Like I'm so about God because I'm seeing so many things happen in my life. Like I'm seeing miraculous things happen. What would you talk about if you were seeing miraculous things happen? If Michael Jordan scored 120 points, you'd be talking about Michael Jordan scoring 120 points because that's miraculous to you. If you seen Tiger Woods win a major tournament, which he just did, you would be talking about Tiger Woods because with all of his back surgeries and with all the different situations that's happened in his life, that would be phenomenal. So I start thinking, what am I supposed to do when either I'm under attack or anything I'm tied to is under attack? Pray. And I pray for the individual. And the dope thing about prayer is you can pray and then you can walk away and not worry about it again. Will the individual be difficult? Possibly. See, here's what's been released to me, even with difficult individuals, and I'll tell you about a situation that is recent. I prayed over this difficult individual. I knew there were so many people coming into this that were tied into this situation that were not necessarily agree with me, because I never asked anybody to agree with me. I never voiced anything. I didn't really care to put the person on blast. I just kept it to myself. But other people were involved in their own little capacity and coming up to me saying, hey man, what's up with such and such? I don't know, what do you mean? Man, it seemed like they're a little difficult. Yeah. So I knew I wasn't alone, but I didn't need anybody to confirm nor deny anything that I thought or was thinking. It was in me, so that's what I go with. Sometimes in my mind, I turn into judge, jury, and executioner all at the same time, and we hold trial fast. We don't spread it out. Or if you're crazy or you're difficult, we just go ahead and go directly into it. But instead of trying to fight it out, I prayed on it. And now when you think, well, you prayed on it, so it must have went away. No. See, this was the funny thing, that this is where I'm going to shed some light on why prayer works. Because when I prayed, it did two things. One is it showed me that what they're doing is intended to help me recognize my patience. That's one. The second thing that praying did was it gave me an answer. It gave me an answer on how to deal with it. And it said, that person ain't going to change because who they are and what they are is here as a lesson to help you work through something that you're deficient in. I was like, ooh. So stop praying for that to go away, because that is not going to go away. I believe it was Paul in the Bible said, God, Paul was under great persecution. He was under heavy burden. He was in prison. He was getting ready to be beheaded. He was in rough situations, but he was one of the biggest believers, one of the biggest faith believers in the Bible. And he said, Paul said to God, he said, man, take this away. He said, dude, like, take these shackles off, open up this door, let me go, let me get out there. I could do more good if you take this stuff away from me. God said no. God said no. To one of his most stringent believers, God told him no. He said, you must endure this. Ain't that bad? Like, your God has the ability to get you out of jail, but he says, the way he thinks is higher than you think. So he says, you must endure this. It's like, what? Like, dude, do you understand if I have more money in my pocket, how much more I can give? But you must endure this. So I'm praying. I say, okay, God, I'm praying for such and such, and I just lift them and show me a way. So God doesn't change the individual because the difficulty was continuing, but he told me, he said, handle it this way. Handle it this way. And he just gave me a different way to handle it. So I got on the phone, started making calls to different people, the people who were being affected by this information, said, let's do it this way and this way and this way. And let's take some more initiative and let's just go ahead and get through this. Not get through this like, whew, boy, this is like hell on wheels, but let's get through it because this is another part of our process. So therefore, since we have an answer on how to get it done, whether somebody's being difficult, whether somebody's being completely forthcoming, whatever the case may be, here's the answer on how we're going to get this one accomplished. So you always got to keep something in mind about why certain things are happening. Why does it feel like you're involved in something difficult? Like, why should you pray? And as much as I can give you advice on why you should pray, on why things happen, at the end of the day, you have to exercise some of these things for yourself. Because I'll tell you this, I don't care how much you believe in God. I don't care how big your faith is. You are not exempt from problems. Everything is not going to be perfect. Not even remotely close, which ultimately makes life even more interesting. Is because if you have this false perception of faith and belief that it remedies all your problems. No, it just simply gives you a solution to the problem as it comes up. That's it. It gives you the ability to cope and to deal with and to work through and to fix any problem that may come at you, including difficult people, hard to please people. Because maybe it's not intended for them to change. Maybe what's going on with them is intended for you to change.